Hi, I'm Casey, the Kitchen Chopper, and I'm going to show you how to get out of salad jail and into the chopped life. Today we're going to be making the Caesar version of the chopped, and that's because we're going to use a lot of the ingredients that you're familiar with in a Caesar salad, but we're going to add some tasty little healthful, decadent items to fill it out and make it a balanced, full meal in a bowl. Alright, so let's get started. First thing I do is I start with the vegetables, and for this one, I really like to use a vegetable that doesn't have a distinct flavor. And they're a great little crunchy bite in the We're going to microwave steam these green beans today, and it's only going to take about a minute and a half. So squish them around. We're going to add a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of flavor enhancement to the green beans. Into the microwave we go, on high for a minute and 30 seconds. Okay, now while they're cooking, we're going to get started on the romaine. Now romaine is a common ingredient in a Caesar salad. Crunchy romaine, already washed and dried these leaves, and I like to cut through them horizontally like this, and then just run my knife through them so we get nice, beautiful, bite-sized pieces. About 1 cup of greens per person. So this is a 4-serving chop. We're going to have 4 cups of greens. So we've got about 2 cups here of the romaine. Chop it and drop it into a bowl. And now I'm going to use some arugula. Chopping that up nice and fine. This is actually not in the recipe, but I have it. It's in my refrigerator. I love the pepperiness of arugula, and I'm going to add it to my chop today because I have it in the fridge. Okay, chop it and drop it into the bowl. Okay, green beans are done, so I'm going to take those out of the microwave, and they can cool while I'm making the rest of the chopped. On to the tomatoes. We have 2 types of tomatoes here today in our mock chopped Caesar, and we're going to just cut the tomatoes into quarters. Okay, I'm going to find purchase on the top of where the tomato actually comes off the vine. We only need about 8 to 10 little tomatoes for this one. That's kind of the beauty of the chopped. We don't really need a whole lot of any one ingredient. We just have a lot of variety, so we get a lot of really helpful ingredients into the chopped. Chop and drop them and into the bowl. Look at all that color. Awesome. Here's another ingredient you don't often see in a chopped, in a Caesar chopped. Sun-dried tomatoes. Okay, chewy, delicious, super flavorful, packed in olive oil. We only need about 3 or 4 of these. They are just so much flavor. Sun-dried tomatoes, just little bites of deliciousness. They are chewy and flavorful, and they add a great, great texture. Green onions. They add a lot of flavor to the chopped, but I only use about 3 for a whole serving for 4 people. So I'm just going to dice these up very, very finely. Make sure you get right down to the cutting board, otherwise they'll stick together and you'll have paper doll effect. And we don't want that. Right into the cutting board. I came up with a little goodie in my recipes that I call the zing factor. And you can use 1, 2, 3, however many they are in the recipe, or just 1. Today, I'm using 1. Kalamata olives. Not something that you normally see in a chopped again. And I'm not going to use too many of these, but they really give you a nice salty bite when I chop them small and spread them throughout the chopped ingredients. And slice a couple more. I use more of the kalamatas than I do the green olives because they're a little smaller. Make sure you get them pitted, because you don't want to be pitting kalamatas. And into the bowl. Okay, here's one of the most important things that I think separates a chopped from a regular salad, and that is the grain factor. Today, I'm actually using a seed. I'm using quinoa, but The recipe calls for brown rice or barley. I can use quinoa because, again, that's what I have in my refrigerator, so that's what I'm going to use. Quinoa has a lot of protein in it, so it actually makes this even more healthy than it would normally be. Okay, I'm going to use about half a cup of quinoa. Put it in here, and now I'm going to use my fingers and just break it up a little bit, because quinoa can be a little soft, but if you've never had quinoa, it's kind of a poppy little grain that kind of bursts in your mouth when you taste it. So I really like putting it into my green beans have cooled. So I'm going to grab these and I'm going to chop them into very small little dice. Okay? And here we go. Just run my knife through. Just a great bit of healthiness. And you chop them small and your kids won't even know they're in there. Chop them and drop them into the bowl. Yum! Look at that. Okay. It's cheese! You gotta have Parmesan cheese when it comes to a Caesar. And we're not gonna use very much, again, probably about an ounce or so. I really like this grater because it grates really finely, so I can get a little bit of Parmesan grated throughout the entire bowl of chopped. Right there, it looks like a lot of Parmesan. That's probably only about 1/3 of an ounce right there. So it's pretty amazing how far this goes with this great little grater. I'm gonna make this a meatless Monday chopped. So instead of chopping in a protein like chicken or pork, I'm gonna use white beans. They're tasty, they're full of protein, and I applaud you if you wanna make your own beans, but I wanted to make this as easy as possible, so I'm using canned beans. And all I have to do is just measure them out. I'm only going to use about 1.25 cups. And that's going to give you plenty of protein for the 4 servings. All right? And this is how I do it. I just basically take my strainer, beans, wash them down a little bit, shake them up, and that's really it. All right, beans go in. The beauty of this chopped is if you play it right, and we have today, we can have vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free. It just depends on how we play it. I used quinoa instead of barley, so we have gluten-free. We could do avocado instead of the cheese, and we could do vegetarian or vegan. So that way, it just shows that the Meatless Monday Chopped can be any type of eating program that you're on. Just so you know, you could put the ingredients into the bowl in any way you want. I have bowl ingredients on the recipes, and I have dressing ingredients on the recipes, and it really doesn't matter. If I put the tomatoes in at one place and I put the quinoa in the other place, it all goes into the bowl. So don't worry about following the recipe exactly. Next, we're going to make flavorful dressing for the chopped. And this is going to be a little bit like the traditional Caesar dressing that you're used to, but with a couple of little goodies that I like to throw in. So we're going to start with some olive oil. And I don't use very much, only about 1 tablespoon. And that's going to be just enough to cover the garlic. So we've got our ramekin here. We're going to turn out about 1/4 cup of dressing altogether. Not very much. And only one. Chop that up. I always just put it between my thumb and my forefinger, and then I chop through and make some great little slices. Alright, and then I put them together like this, and I chop through to mince them. Now I am going to do a little trick that I came up with. I've actually never seen anybody else do before. And that is, we're going to mellow the garlic in the olive oil in the microwave. Get it minced nice and small. I've probably got a tablespoon or so of garlic in here. And I'm going to put that into the ramekin, like so. And then I'm going to place it all into the microwave to mellow. 15 seconds on high. This is the hubby's favorite part because when I bring it out, it just infuses the whole room with garlic and olive oil. Beautiful. Next, we are going to put some lemon. That's also classic in a Caesar dressing. And once we have the garlic and the olive oil done, it's the same thing as the bowl ingredients. We can just put all the dressing ingredients, boom, in together. So I find that I like to quarter my lemons. I can get my hands around them a little bit better. And if you've got a lemon that has a thicker skin or is cold, stick it in the microwave for 30 seconds and it gets the juices going. I put my hand here for the seeds. Don't want seeds in your dressing. There we go. One. I'm going to use the juice of a whole lemon. Dijon mustard. And let me grab a teaspoon. Alright, don't need very much. That's about a teaspoon. Alright, in there. Again, classic. But lots of flavor. Lots of flavor. And some Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce has a huge amount of flavor. And what I like to use in here, instead of using a whole tin of anchovies, I use anchovy paste. So it goes into right into the dressing. And I will tell you, if you have friends that don't think they like anchovies, they're going to love this. They're not even going to know what's in there. It just gives kind of a little salty, nutty bite that's going to actually melt right into the dressing. I talked a little bit about the zing factor. And we used the zing factor in the bowl ingredients. Now we're going to add a zing factor to the dressing ingredients. You know that when you have a table-side dressing, Caesar dressing, they always put egg yolk in. And I don't want to do that because I want a pasteurized product. So we're going to use a little bit of egg beaters, not too much. And just know that you don't have to use this, but it gives a great mouthfeel like a regular Caesar creamy dressing. And along with the Dijon mustard, it gets emulsified, and thick, and yummy. Don't even have to put salt into this one, but I am going to put some pepper. We put all that Parmesan into the bowl ingredients, and we have the anchovy paste in the dressing ingredients, so I don't think we need any salt, but you can check and see. Okay, let's stir this up. Now we're ready to put it all in the bowl. Look how creamy this dressing is. This is just all flavor that's going to go into our We're just going to toss the dressing just a little bit at a time, mix it through. And because we have so many ingredients, we want to make sure that we get everything tossed really, really well. We've got the quinoa, the beans, Kalamata olives, both types of tomatoes, sun-dried and chewy sun-dried tomatoes. There we go. We've got just a little bit more dressing actually to put on. And again, that looks so good, and it smells so good too. All right, you're never going to see any dressing in the bottom of the bowl because we make just enough for 4 servings. Our mock chopped Caesar is ready to serve. We've got 4 servings here, hearty and delicious. The best way to eat a chopped is with a big soup spoon. And you get every little bite, every morsel. So as I always say, get your spoon ready.